We recently harvested the last few trays of microgreens and won't be sowing them again for a while. For the last few months, we have produced quite a few microgreens as part of the Black Plot Collective, sowing and harvesting these densely packed trays a couple of times a week. It was really useful to be able to produce this mix of different types of fast-growing tiny seedlings as we waited for the other salad crops to start producing in the polytunnels. Earlier in the year, we were able to take advantage of the grow lights and the heated propagation space to allow these trays of microgreens to grow quite quickly. But as these propagation spaces filled with transplants for the main crops, the microgreen trays were pushed out into the cooler spaces of the polytunnel. This caused the growth rate to slow down quite a bit, stretching the time between sowing and harvesting, reducing the throughput or productivity. With these microgreens taking up more space and time and getting less in return, they felt like more of a distraction. And when the lettuce, spinach, and other salad greens started to be harvested from the polytunnels, these microgreens were not so useful, so it made sense to phase them out. They also take a lot of resources, including compost and bulk quantities of seeds, especially compared to the low cost of spinach or lettuce grown in a polytunnel bed. And we ran into a few issues with pests and die-off of some of the seedlings when we tried to use a cheaper form of compost or growing medium. I'm glad to be able to free up the time, space, and capacity that was taking up producing these microgreens, but I will miss this delicacy, especially the pea shoots and the onion microgreens. But as all the transplants for the main crops move out of the propagation spaces and into the main growing spaces, the weather warms up and we're not too busy handling other seedlings, these microgreens might become a more useful and desirable crop again. Especially if we have issues producing enough of the other salad crops during the summer months.